and I'm extremely off-center on my camera. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Let me adjust that. Yeah, it's Wednesday. I still have no idea what I'm doing with this, but I don't know. Maybe that's just the whole thing. I have more braces. It's hard to talk, so bear with me while I adjust. As you can see, both Ben, who was expected to be absent until the end of July, and Zhao, who was expected to be absent tonight, are not with us. So, we'll just be kind of playing without them this evening, as is the wishes of both players. Yeah. Hey Kay, why don't you get us up to speed? Mm-hmm. 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 To poke out other people's eyes. Mm-hmm. If you want the technical answer, the answer is with Lucilla. Go listen to the session and nitpick the finer details if you really care, because the details are in there. Oopsie. Packed. Mm-hmm. Yep. Ignore the game graphics that say otherwise. I need to update them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty solid. Anybody have anything to add? Mm-hmm. That's true. That is a very, very big highlight. Also, rest assured, I did find the Girls' Night soundtrack. It took some digging, but I eventually unearthed it. So it will see a third campaign. If there is nothing else, pause for anything else. No, great. Then we will pick back up where we left off, which was the end of the night, and I'm pretty sure we resolved the day and we moved on to the next day. Well, we have a pretty good idea as to what you two were up to, more or less. Yeah, probably. I mean, oh, yeah, I was about to say, just let me go to the... Yes, Kay? You're muted!
Yeah, it's a problem.
I don't know why the players... Great recap, Kay. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll
Very
come in
concise.
loud and clear. Yeah, you know, sometimes Stream Deck buttons just don't want to work. Why? Who knows?
I was even thinking, I'm like, yeah, I should suggest during this session start, when you're like, I don't know what to do here. We should do a sound check.
Yeah, because I'm not sophisticated enough to know how to do that before I start the stream. At least while the starting screen is there. And also, for what it is worth, we were all supposed to be muted. It was the unmuting of you that failed. So, yeah. Yeah, the Stream Deck button just didn't take. Just like the break music is still playing. Apparently it only switched scenes and that was it. At least it unmuted me, I guess. So, either way, man, if you were listening, hey, welcome. I'm glad you totally heard all that. Anywho, I go back to what I was saying. I'm just gonna back it up. Technically, 35th later in the evening. Anybody of specific significance people want to do? Or can we move on to the following morning?
Good to go. Following morning it is.
Okay, moving on. We're just gonna go 7:30. Why not? That seems like a good time to be awake. We get a little weather update. Oh, lovely. 29 degrees and warm rain. It's real life for Quinn. You really immersive. You even predicted the weather. So, the following day has arrived after a somewhat, exhausting day, mentally, physically. A lot of things to learn, a lot of things to process, a lot of adjustments to be made. What does the day hold for you all?
I will say Roz is probably going to rise last because she was working all the way to midnight on that bow.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, Audie had at least one conversation to have, but she would probably stick around to help with breakfast and get people started on their day. She knows that they probably should figure out a mission to do in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Titan's going to be busy healing the sick. We'll probably have like a week of healing, and I don't know if we can afford that much downtime. So, yeah. Audie's helping around the camp till, let's say, about 9 a.m.
Okay. That's fine.
I think 9 a.m. is around when classes, I would say, get underway, as it were.
Which classes?
You know, the ones that keep the kids busy. Go find toads, find me a shiny rock.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the kids, yeah. Because Covert's kids start at 6.
Correct. I was meaning, the Greenwood camp.
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, it starts as soon as most of the kids are up and after they've eaten their gruel for the day. If anything, they're excited to go to school after that.
Super unfortunate that prestidigitation doesn't make that taste better.
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does?
Mm-hmm.
Audie would definitely do that for the camp then.
You could reflavor a rock to taste like something good.
Oh, cool.
It's still a rock, but
For some reason, I thought it was like magically immune. So yes, Audie will make it taste like oatmeal and berries or something.
It's hard for you to do it for everybody, is the trick.
The idea would be kind of like as she hands out the bowls, she would like mutter over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, like I said, the struggle is the effect lingers basically for out of one instance. So if you were to do it again, that person's bowl stops tasting like something good halfway through them eating it.
Right. Is it 3? You can have 3 effects up. Anyways, regardless.
1. If there's multiple times, you have up to 3 of its non-instantaneous effects active at a time. Yeah, so technically 3 max.
3.
Yep.
Then she might do it for her siblings to make them eat.
I mean, people are eating because they would starve otherwise.
Yes, but she loves her siblings.
That's
regardless.
Fair. Okay.
And if everyone's still asleep by 9 a.m., Audie could certainly do other things too.
Well, we know what Roz is doing, so Lilith, what is it? Are you doing anything of a note, or are we just hopping over to noon?
I don't think Lilith's doing much of anything. She'll wake up before Roz, but doesn't have any particular plans, especially with this weather.
Okay.
Cool. Then Audie would actually make a trip to the Immortal Bastion before the sit rep at noon.
Yeah, perfectly fine. You can make your way over there. The camp is much the same, despite the warm drizzle that is kind of overcoming everything else. In very typical fashion, you see a lot of the usual suspects out and about, of which you get to the opposite side of the camps where you see that there are 2 tyrants fighting, as always. The Bastion camp is usually much the same. People still doing their chores, organizing things, moving things, taking things out. You will, of course, be greeted with a wave and a hello from those that are nearby. What is your purpose here?
She would actually be looking for Lucius. And whoever she sees first, she would absolutely ask.
Yeah, they'll point you to Lucius and tell you he's in the armory tent. And they will point you to the appropriate tent. It is actually one of the only other tents here that it's on the larger end that isn't their main meeting tent.
Okay.
But, as per normal, there are no doors here, so you just kind of have to politely let yourself in.
Yeah, she would announce herself, or I was gonna say they're like tent flaps, like it's still closed, or is it just
no, the flaps are currently pinned up because of humidity.
Yeah, then she would just poke her head
in. Lucius is currently sitting on a stool in front of a heavy reinforced table with an armor stand next to him, containing the battered remains of his paladin armor. He's disassembled it, and he's kind of working through pieces, and you can tell he's clearly in thought about something.
Audie would walk up, probably right across from where he is, and are there chairs there? Like, does this double as like a war room kind of thing?
No, it does not. It is strictly an armory.
Okay.
Basically, on the right side, there are armor stands that has the armor of the other members of the Bastion. On the left wall, there are weapons and tower shields of various types. and then 2 rows of tables down the middle. There are stools tucked underneath the tables for people to do what Lucius is doing, which is pull something out and work on it.
All right, then yeah, she's just standing on the other side of the table, kind of watching him work for a bit.
Like I said, he's not really doing anything in depth. He's just kind of, you can tell he's more sorting his thoughts while he's kind of touching the armor and moving pieces about.
What's on your mind?
Trying to solve a problem. You plan on staring at me all day?
Well, no, but I figured maybe I could help you with the problem.
Are you a smith?
Not myself, but I know some.
Are there any master smiths that you know?
It's a good question. Are there?
Not really.
I know we know Vanya, but she's not really a master smith.
No. You know people that are talented in smithing, but no one who has the credence of such a title.
Right. Yes. Not a master, no. Apprentice, journeyman, maybe, but no accolades.
You'll wrap one of his knuckles against the breastplate of his armor, which is up on the stand, where there's this huge gash torn through it. This armor is going to be very hard to repair, but I also can't stop. I just can't stop. I have to continue taking missions, doing things as necessary. Just trying to figure out the best way to work with what's left of it, and repairing it would require, and he sort of just puts his hands out, a master smith, of which there aren't any here.
Well, I mean, this might fall flat on the type of missions you take. You seem to be quite upstanding folk. I heard the Gilden Rose needs to get a package retrieved. We're far too curious for that, that's why we turned it down, but I'd certainly probably get you access to a bit.
Given their nature and the kind of work that they often involve themselves in, there's no telling what it is it would require us to do what they want us to do. Unless they're willing to answer questions, I'm not willing to lower myself to the standards they probably want. Besides, I'm sure there are other mercenaries in this camp to be more than happy to jump at the opportunity.
And Audie kind of smirks because she's had a very similar thought about it too.
Anyway, that's my problem. What brings you here?
Well, for my own sake, in my own mind, I just want to clarify something.
Mm-hmm.
Rose gets a bit of ahead of herself.
Okay.
And Audie just kind of chuckles to herself and shakes her head a bit. She's like, Roz calls what I do a crush, when really it's just I find people quite fascinating. I just didn't want you to think it was some dumb puppy dog following around with my tail up high. Find you quite fascinating. Your sister too, this whole cab. A whole lot of them. No one's too old for that.
We're not exactly unusual, or not exactly usual types. We've garnered plenty of attention where we've gone, and it's not as if you're stalking me and following me around the camp every which way. I didn't take it any one way or the other.
Alright, good. Had bad experiences in the past, that's all. People think it means one thing when really it doesn't mean anything at all.
We're not really the types to get easily offended.
And Audie grins at that. She loves that. I didn't. I will probably join Rose if she's over here a bit more often than not. But just wanted to make sure there was nothing, no hard feelings, nothing like that. Marvelous.
Yeah.
And if I find a smith, I'll send him your way.
Appreciated. Feel free to stop by whenever you have the time.
And she goes to turn around on her heel and then quickly turns back. One last question, then. How much am I allowed to be playful and tease you, or do you find it off-putting and annoying?
I have a line, but I don't know where it is yet because most people tend not to try to find it.
Well, I'll try not to find it, but you tell me if I do. And she'll turn around on her heel once more, kind of like blow him a kiss and prance off.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's kind of it for her morning. Go back and help out at camp for a bit
Mm-hmm.
until the sit rep.
Sure. Okay. Well, the morning is going to progress some. More parts of the camp are going to wake up. I'm assuming will inevitably mean Lilith and Roz.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sleep all day.
Mm.
Wake up.
Mm.
It's gonna start shaking her.
I'm awake. I just don't want to be.
Oh, too bad.
Mm.
You're the one that decided you wanted to get that rune done in a single day instead of just putting some of the work off for the next day.
Fine. It's probably time for breakfast at the Bastion anyway.
Honestly, they've probably eaten already. But they still probably saved you some, knowing them.
Well, if they've already eaten, then fine. I'll eat some gruel or whatever. Then we've got to go to the Daisy to figure out what that whole thing's about.
I think I saw Audie wandering around, so maybe we should just all go together.
All right, fine. I'll get up. Fine. All right. So to the Bastion for breakfast then, assuming there's any left for us.
Sure.
To the Bastion for breakfast, assuming there's any left.
Mm-hmm. You're going to run into Audie coming back from there.
Oh, hey, Audie.
Right, sleepyhead.
Morning. What you doing at the Bastion camp?
Had a conversation to have. Lucius apparently looking for a Master Smith.
I can guess why. Well, I don't know one, unfortunately.
Now, closest I think was maybe Vanya. Titan was taken through, but not Masters, not by any rate.
Yep. And I really wish I could help him with that, because I can't help but feel a little bit responsible.
I'm sure what it was purchase a Smith, but that's a lot of money. And they won't stoop themselves to take the merchant, the guild and red trust mission. I don't blame them either.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Speaking of missions, we were gonna drop by the Daisy and see what's up with that one.
I can do whatever you like. Unless you want to join me.
Love to join you. Absolutely. Make the morning more interesting, you little bastard.
Me?
Yes, you!
What did I do wrong?
I have no idea what you've done wrong today.
And she's grinning.
Clearly, you've done something mischievous, though.
I just had a very polite conversation, that's all.
Uh-huh.
And again, her patented innocent look. Just the
Mhm.
wide-eyed blinking.
Mm-hmm. I don't believe you. You know what? Until I start getting truth out to you, I'm not going to tell you any fun little secrets.
Oh yeah?
Oh,
Does
yeah.
can you tell that I'm lying that I just had a conversation?
I have no idea.
Are you afraid I'm trying to get under the arm of your new big brother?
Hmm. I need breakfast. Excuse me. I hear you fucking giggling back there.
And she'll come look at Lilith. This is a lot of fun. Always been my favorite thing to do.
She's gotten a lot better at, not seeming like it affects her, but you can still get under her skin.
Oh, absolutely. Quite a talent.
Hey, see you later.
Okay, so who's going where now?
Still need breakfast with the Bastion, I think, unless that plan changed to go to the Daisy first. Was that what we discussed?
Hmm.
Oh, Audie just offered to go there ahead of you if you wanted, but if you were looking to have breakfast, she
Okay,
would
so-
probably leave you to it, and then she might just go hang out at the Daisy or wander through camp. She'd
Okay.
probably actually go look through camp to see if there are smiths or leads on smiths. Talk to
Okay.
Vanya or something.
So Roz and Lilith are going to the Bastion, and Audie is going around camp.
Okay. In which case, it isn't before long that both Roz and Lilith, you arrive at the Bastion camp. It looks like they are not currently holding breakfast, but you do smell something cooking. Which perhaps could be for lunch. Who knows? Granted, when they welcomed you aboard, they gave you 2 times a breakfast and a lunch and dinner time. They didn't mention anything about a midday meal.
Mm-hmm. I think in that case, Roz is just gonna sneak in like a bandit and try to find some leftovers.
I have this actually.
I mean, she's not gonna steal it.
But are you sneaking in?
No.
Okay.
She's just not stopping to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
before getting food.
Yeah, like I said, people really don't go out of the way to stop or engage you in conversation either. But you are welcomed.
Mm-hmm.
You're given the pat on the back, the wave, the hey, the hello, the good afternoon.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, being very friendly back, of course.
But a little way down, on the further side of the camp in the corners where they all the cooking is done, and they likewise have a spot dug out for a bit of a cold storage. And you can make your way over there in that general vicinity. But when you do get within the proximity of where the kitchen space is, you can see that Lucilla and Pamaris are both currently there, working away at something.
Oh, hi. Don't let me interrupt. I was just going to find something because I slept in.
Yep. Good afternoon to you too. We noticed that you didn't make it to breakfast, so we set something aside for you. Let me just go get it.
Thanks. I was working till midnight and slept too long.
Yeah, when we realized that you weren't moving from your camp, we either assumed you'd been murdered in your tent or you overslept. And since we didn't find any dead bodies, we decided to leave it be. Yeah.
That's comforting.
Mm-hmm. Lilith, do you want anything to eat?
Sure, if you have some extra.
We do. Give me a second. And Lucilla strides off to the further side of the kitchen, and basically takes off a cloth where there's a set of bowls, in a platter, and what looks like an assortment of cut up fruits, some biscuits, an assortment of what looks like jams, and then a bowl of looks kind of like a porridge or like a rice porridge of some kind. And she brings it over and sets it on the short table off to the side that they're not working on. Okay, there you go. Help yourself. Mix in whatever is to your delight. And do you want something to drink? And we can make some tea. We can heat up a little milk.
That's all right.
Put you back to sleep though.
No, I've taken enough of your time already from whatever you're doing.
Just making a midday for the others. like we said yesterday, they're tired kind of quickly, so we're just making sure they're staying fed.
Well, good. Good that they get the care, right?
Mhm. You're welcome to have some of that too, you know.
I might be back for that as well. I just need to go to the Dusty Daisy and talk to someone about possibly rescuing a friend of theirs.
Okay. Fair enough. Just know that the middays, smoked sausages, fried peppers and onions. Primaris is making fresh
Ooh.
bread.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, I'll be back for that. Don't you worry.
We're grinding the mustard.
Right.
You
Well,
clearly don't need convincing. Yeah. Go on.
no, I love food.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Eat your breakfast and then go talk to Daisy about the mission.
Yes, yes.
Somebody, reputable should take it.
Aw. You hear that, Lilith? I'm reputable.
Well, you're kind of a member of the Immortal Bastion now.
Kind of.
Yeah, which means you can use that title if you don't ever want to be called a greenie.
We really need to workshop a name for ourselves at some point.
I have a different title now, so that's on you. Anyway, I'm gonna eat my food.
You might want to look away for this.
They've seen me eat before.
Then they know.
They know.
We
Roz
do.
eats her food way too fast. Like watching a soldier eat, as ever. Teenage boy appetite.
Meanwhile, while they're scarfing down their food and Lilith is eating politely, a very stark contrast. Audie, you head up north towards where the craftsmen are?
Yeah.
Specifically looking for Vanya?
Yeah, looking for Vanya first, but if she sees anyone that looks particularly competent, like she'll glance at what's being worked on kind of thing, and if nothing looks exceptionally skilled, she'll move on.
I mean, it depends, like, because the northern side of the camp is sort of segmented into the different crafts, so the way there aren't a bunch of supplies being scattered between all different types of individuals. So you can kind of get to the area where a lot of the smiths are working. You guys haven't really spent like a whole ton of time here, except probably Titan, I think, is the exception. Titan spent a bunch of time here, which is to say, in the time since the camp has come together and more craftsmen show up, tradespeople have shown up, there's been like a pseudo hierarchy that's been created, and the people that are more actively working tend to be the ones that have the better skill sets versus the ones that have been observed as needing more refinement have more or less been knocked down to apprentice positions, even if they had been considered a smith where they were from.
Right.
Which is also to say, a lot of the work that's produced, it's serviceable. It's good. Like, it's been kind of the agreement. The craftsmen get the work, they get materials to do so, and they get as comfortably as possible in these environments, live comfortably.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can, I don't know, Audie isn't necessarily a smith or one that'd be capable of appraising the skill of a smith's trade. So you could just make an intelligence check for me if you like.
Or
unless you have smith's tools training, which I don't think you do.
Double checking. I think
that's a Roz Titan thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just flat intelligence, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's rude.
How flat is it?
It's a 6.
Yeah.
It was a 17, and then it went bloop.
As dice often do. Yeah. The work here looks decent, but you couldn't tell anyone why that is.
Okay. Then yeah, if Vanya's not there, she'll just find someone to ask, but she'll look for Vanya first then.
Yeah. So you can either do one of two things. You can make a perception check to just literally visibly try to find her while you're walking around, or you can talk to a bunch of people and ask them where Vanya is, in which case you could do a persuasion check. See if you can get them to tell you.
if the quick passive 13 perception, is it 10 plus or 8
Yeah.
plus?
Yeah, 10 plus whatever your bonus is.
Yeah. Okay, so if the flat 13 doesn't find Vanya, she'll ask around.
No, it doesn't. It's fairly crowded here.
Okay. And Audie is a little short. Well, at least she's pretty. That's 13.
Okay. You ask around. People know of Vanya. If only because it seems like Vanya's developed a couple of rivals amongst the craftsmen. They'll tell you a couple of places to go look for her. Depends on what she's doing. They more or less say that she keeps kind of an eclectic schedule. So you're basically given 3 spots to go check on her. To either go check on where the portable forges are arranged, to go check with the suppliers, which is at the Gilden Rose Merchantry, which is where a lot of the goods are brought in through, or to go check the her firing range, because she's usually over there tinkering if she's not smithing.
I'm guessing the portable forges are closest.
They are, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she'll go check there. Although while she has one of the people talking to her, she'll kind of make the offhanded comment about like, it's like, you know, it's like, I know the lot of you are pretty good, but who would you say is probably the best out of all you? If you had to say, and you can't say yourself unless you actually think it's yourself.
I don't really know what answer you want from me. If I thought I was pretty good, you said I can't say it myself, but if it's someone else, I'm allowed to say it?
That's whether or not you think you're better than somebody else.
Well, I'm better than a few folks here, but I don't think I'm the best.
Right. Right. I'll keep my eye out then. Looking for the best if I can. It's an awful tricky piece of work need repaired.
Right. Well, I don't know if he's the best, but there's a dwarf that works with fire and metal like I've never seen before. You should probably go ask him. He's probably the best smith here.
All right. Where'd I find him?
The smith stops, scratches their head. Well, if you go to the forges and you see a bunch of fire, that's probably where he is. But if he's not there, he's probably back at his camp.
Maybe it's chapter 5.
Yeah, I think so.
Of course. I said thank you very much.
Okay, where you going?
Well, having that information about a master smith, she'd probably go check the portable forges and then Gilden Rose. She doesn't want to get too far out of camp, which is where she knows the firing ranges. So she would check those 2 places first, in that order.
Okay. You head over to where the forges are, and you kind of walk, on their perimeter, so that way you're not underfoot. And you don't spot Vanya there. Nor do you spot gouts of flame.
Okay, that was gonna be my other question.
Then you're gonna stop over at the merchantry after? Okay. Yeah, this is you doubling back a little on your pathway to head back towards the center of camp. Yeah, and you stop at the merchantry. Again, an open air kind of flea market style setup. Long wooden tables, canvas overhangs. Very comfortable to window shop because there's plenty of shade from the sun and the rain. Yeah, when you get there, you see on the far side, on the so there's a bunch of arranged like pavilions and stands, but then on the far backside, there's more or less a semi-permanent structure that's been erected. Um, that you can see on the side of that building where there looks like there's a loading dock, a small loading dock. You can see Vanya is currently over there, talking to somebody who's standing up on the loading dock.
She'll head over if it looks like they're talking business. She'll hang back a little, let them finish. You know,
Mm.
she doesn't want to interrupt and be rude.
Yeah, like Vanya's body language isn't like someone who's angry. They're clearly just sort of talking about something.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get within earshot, you just kind of hear Vanya go, all right, well, I mean, I need to get those supplies. I've already paid you for them, so I don't know what's up with your supply chain. You're supposed to be the ones bringing stuff in all the time, and you're also the ones that said you have the guarantee. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but, I have projects I need to finish. People need things made here, so if you could hurry it up, it'd be great. Thanks. And it was like, yes, we understand the promises that have been made, and we know the things that you require. It's wartime. Things aren't as always that simple. If you continue being patient, we'll make sure to deliver to you in as soon as a reasonable amount of time as we can promise, which is none currently. Our apologies. You just sort of see Vanya just kind of like give a big huff and just kind of wave and turn around, to which she kind of walks headlong into you. Melody, hey, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. You're just missing nothing for.
I didn't catch that. You want to repeat that?
Nothing for Smith. I know you've helped Corona out a bit. How are you with Smitten?
I'm pretty good. I mean, I can make armor. I know to make weapons. I came from a reputable foundry. Admittedly, I was still only an apprentice when the whole place went up in flames, but take that for what you will.
A friend of mine's looking for a master smith. I was told there might be one chapter of fire, but
Well,
I figured we know you better.
Yeah, that ain't me, unfortunately. Even by dwarven standards, an apprentice smith is definitely probably what you'd equate to an average smith in any other place. But I sure as hell ain't no master smith. I have probably a couple decades, centuries even before I could even consider calling myself that. But yeah, I know the guy you're talking about from the chapter of fire. Nassif, a very talented smith, that guy. I think he cheats a little, but I mean, it works, so admittedly, I'm just kind of jealous. Yeah, even came from one of the big four foundries in Novagrim before it fell apart. I mean, if there's anybody that could be considered a master smith in this camp, he's probably the closest.
Right, and I guess that's what I'm supposed to be looking for. Wasn't in the fire just yet, so he's probably still at camp then.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're gonna try to get some out of him, good luck. He's pretty ordinary, let me tell you.
Well, I might have some good stories for him, and if I don't, someone else might.
All right, well, hey, it was nice talking to you. Good luck with whatever you're doing. Hope your friend gets whatever they need.
That friend too. Hope the supply chain helps them.
Yeah, that friend isn't Corona, by the way, is it? Because if Corona's having problems with her equipment, she can come talk to me if she needs to. I can take criticism.
She would come to you in an instant. She has no problem giving criticism either.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I had to make sure. I didn't want someone taking my goods to someone else to try to improve them or fix them if that was a problem. I had to be certain. I had to be certain.
Looking for someone to fix a full set of plate armor.
Yeah, that doesn't take no master smith. There's definitely something more to that, but I ain't no master
magical.
smith.
That's all I know.
I mean, that probably requires a smith and an enchanter, but again,
and Audie just shrugs like they just sent me here.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. You're probably on a goose chase right now, but
And she just kind of grins wider at that, like, chasing geese.
Okay, goofy one. I'll see you later.
And she'll give a wave and probably prance back toward the mercenary camps, possibly to run into Roz and Lilith. But to return her findings to, she would probably go and talk to Lucilla or someone. She wouldn't go bother Lucius again. But
Right. Well, y'all had plenty of time to eat, Lilith, Roz. Were you doing anything else before you essentially run back into Melody returning to the Bastion camp?
I don't think Roz is.
Lilith is just going to ask anyone that's around if they have like a particular time they do any training that she might want to join in if she's allowed to.
Yeah, Lucilla would be more than happy to tell you. Training is usually done midday. When the sun is highest in the sky is roughly when we start. Given everyone's condition, we're going to have the meal and then they're probably going to start training. So in about an hour.
Would you mind an extra?
You're welcome to participate. You'll get different types of experiences here. So, yeah, I mean, wouldn't hurt you to find out.
I understand my fighting style is probably a lot different than most of the Bastions.
I mean, if you're a crack shot, still even just taking shots at people with arrows is still good training for them at the very least. You know, it's a lot harder to block an arrow if you've never had an arrow shot at you before that's trying to take your life.
I'd like to think I'm pretty good.
I'm just saying, if you come here and you train with them, you'll learn something, just like they will. So, yeah, in an hour.
I'll be there.
And you, Roz, are you going to come with Lilith?
Yes, I am. I haven't trained with the Bastion yet, and I think it'd be a great idea to, integrate myself into the strategy a little bit that we use around here.
It's good thinking. We do have a way of fighting, but then everybody also fights a little bit differently, so that way we can adjust as needed. So, good to come watch and learn, if nothing else.
Be happy to.
All right. Well, don't get caught up too long here. I'll take care of your dishes.
Oh, thanks. We'll be back as soon as we've talked to someone at the Daisy.
Mm-hmm. We'll be waiting.
Right. Let's go.
And Melody.
Oh, hi. We're just running into you everywhere. We're on our way to the Daisy now.
oh, marvelous. I just went looking for a bit of a smidge. Kind of chapter 5 that one. But they always have a cost. So it's whether or not they want to pay the cost. But yes, to the Daisy.
Right. Why were you looking for a smith?
Lucius looking for a smidge.
Oh, you're trying to help Lucius.
It's quite fascinating, Metro.
Mm-hmm.
Are you jealous?
No, not jealous. Jealous is the wrong word. Amused. Besides, why would I be jealous? I've got her. Just gesturing at Lilith.
Ah, yes, your trophy elf.
Right, my trophy elf.
Don't say that out loud.
Roz is just going to pick Lilith up at this point. Well, to the Daisy then. I'm not putting you down.
All right, it's on you if my brother happens to show up.
If your brother shows up, I will drop you and run. How's that?
I think he can run faster.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can run faster than me.
Why'd you run from her family?
I'm not worried about it. Let's just go to the Daisy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To the Daisy.
And to the Daisy you go. You will, as is often the case, run by Covert, who's at his desk. He will, as normal, give you a wave.
Audie absolutely waves. The little, like, waggly finger wave.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Covert have a favor you wanted to ask us?
Shakura said that he can find us if he wanted to.
Well, now that you've
I mean,
mentioned
we
it,
could always go say hi.
Oh, speaking of,
I couldn't help it over here. And by over here, I mean eavesdrop.
he's very good at eavesdropping.
Yeah,
Stuff ears.
it's like 65% of my job. The other 35% is mitigating the problems I hear from the eavesdropping I do.
Oh. Audie has a crush on you, by the way.
I've heard that too.
She's
All
also
right.
brilliant at fascination people. Quite fascinated men.
Well,
Crush plus.
yeah, I mean, also nothing wrong with that. I think it's healthy for people our age to have, attractions towards other people.
See, he doesn't care that I'm. How old are you?
Me?
Hmm.
26?
Oh, wow.
Like 26 is an elf.
No, I've been alive for 26 cycles on a calendar.
You're only a year older than me?
Marvelous.
Apparently, yeah. Is that a problem? Surprising?
Definitely surprising.
See, very
Very
fascinating.
surprising.
For what it's worth, it's been a very full 26 years.
I bet. Anyway, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, okay. You guys, you're all here for that? Sure. Step into my office, please. And he just sort of like waves a spot next to him.
All right.
I think
Roswell.
Audie's used to this by now, so she just steps up.
Mhm.
Roswell set Lilith down so that she can walk on her own.
Yeah, like Melody, you're ready for this. In a typical fashion that you've come and spoken to Covert quite a few times, and he's almost always at his desk. Except when you reach the threshold which he's gestured to, you have a very minor effect of teleportation, where you feel your insides kind of jostle for a quick moment, like stepping out of for a real life comparison, stepping out of like a place with sliding doors and tripping over the part of the slide on the bottom. And then when you gain your footing again, you find yourself in a gray room with a table and 6 chairs around it. Okay. Sorry for the all the show, but privacy is important to me. So personal things I do in here.
Right. Well, what you got for us?
Okay. Super simple basic request, and if it sounds like it interests you, I can give you more information. Which is the adjutants have a close friend that has he sort of sits there, leans against the table, and kind of shrugs, like puts his hands up in the air. Been kidnapped? And we basically need a group of people to go unkidnap them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty straightforward so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, where's the sticky part?
Aren't you a bunch of special, like, you're talented people, aren't you? What you need us for?
We're heavily invested in the war currently. Like, there's one of each of us at all the major camps that facilitate mercenaries mostly. Honestly, I hate this part of the job. It's very tedious and a lot of paperwork. I would rather be out gallivanting on missions and, doing, well, things that feel a bit more important than this, although I admit I understand the importance of this, but, and the ones that are stronger than me are fighting on the battlefields or doing missions in and around Azale or striking major refineries around the world, things like that. So we're doing our part. Sometimes we run a little thin. It's not like there's hundreds of us, after all.
So who's his friend and where are they?
Okay. So I'm going to answer the second question first. They're currently located in a temple on an archipelago that is north of the southernmost continent. The wrinkle in this whole thing is, and the reason why I'm basically interviewing people to see people that I think would be capable to go handle this, is that they've been captured by a bunch of remnant chaos cultists. And yeah, it really takes a special breed to be able to deal with them.
But you wouldn't be asking us if you didn't think we were capable.
Well, yes, that's part of it. 2, out of most of the mercenaries I can ask here, you all do have a particular extra little something that will most likely keep you alive if the mission goes in a slightly more difficult direction than possibly portended.
Uh-huh.
The willingness to run away when we're faced with something we can't fight?
I mean, that's a good instinct to have. I was mostly talking about the fact that you guys regenerate gigantic wounds overnight.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah.
Did we say chaos cultists? You mean like the dragon cast, like Randy's cultists?
Yeah, basically. Obsidian Betrayer, the first Black Dragon. Yeah, those chaos cultists.
They're currently in an immortal struggle at anywhere. Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah. I mean, to put it simply, and the person who it is, and you might judge me a little for how kind of flippant I'm being about the situation. It's one of my cousins, and we literally just don't have the people to send to go get her. Thus, why I'm asking mercenaries.
That's pretty extreme, actually.
Yeah. Again, like I said, the lower ranking adjutants are amongst mercenary camps like this one, of which there are several dozen, and hundreds of thousands of mercenaries that we're trying to maintain and keep at least on a somewhat guided direction to make sure that all the missions are eventually going to gather to a point where it matters. And then the rest of the other ones that are strong enough are commandos, basically. And Halir is on the war council leading the fight on the battlefront. So, yeah, no, we just literally needed a helping hand. And as mentioned, if you do this, we owe you one.
Okay.
We were about to go and talk to Daisy about what she needed too, but you probably have your ear turned on that one. I don't know, you probably think this is probably more important than hers, but as far as skill level qualifications.
So to be fair, I don't eavesdrop on people who I respect / don't think will kill people flippantly. So I actually don't know the greater details of Daisy's commission. So yeah, you but probably still go ask. And I'm not going to deem my mission more important over someone else's. Again, he shrugs a bunch, looks like he's trying to think of a way to say it sensitively, and then just goes, the official agreement amongst most of the family members is to just leave her there until we can send somebody to go get her. Otherwise, Chaos cultists they're unpredictable, understandably. Yeah, but they tend to not just blatantly kill people for the sake of it. Because the more people you remove from a scenario, the less chaos exists in it. So, we would like it to be answered sooner rather than later, and if one of us gets free, they're likely to be sent to deal with it, but, if we found some kind Samaritans willing to do it, then all the better.
Okay. We're still gonna go hear about the other possible mission we were debating, but
As you should.
we will have your answer as soon as possible. Sorry, I didn't realize it was your family, or I'd have come to see you sooner.
Well, no, again, really, don't treat it like it's the end of the world. If we were in dire straits, we would have sent somebody.
Right.
It's something that we've considered that we have a little time with. Besides, it's not like my cousin's completely incapable. If things come down to it, she could probably, run them around for a little bit.
I understand. I personally know how I would feel if it was one of my family members. And I'd be tearing my hair out for the fact that I couldn't go.
Fair. I understand that. But you haven't really met my family. They're all kind of crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I love my cousin. I love most of my family. I love all my family. They're just, again, different amounts, I suppose. But go hear out Daisy.
Right.
I'm not going to criticize you all if you decide to go help Daisy. There are other prospects in camp that I can talk to, and I'm not the only adjutant asking people in their camp to go do this. You might even run into another group if you decide to accept on my end.
One quick question.
Mm-hmm.
You have a way to get us there in a timely manner, I assume?
We have someone that will get you there, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll go hear out that other offer, and we'll get you our answer as soon as possible.
Probably by the end of the day.
Reasonable. All right. If you're all ready to leave, I can just spit you back out.
Right.
Okay, don't think about it. And 3 and 2, and you're kind
Thinking about it.
tripping back out of the subspace.
Audie will link an arm with Lilith so she doesn't fall over or anything right as the spell's about to be cast. Or the undone, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this time when you fall out of the subspace, you're landing on your feet, and you're back in the same spot you were next to his desk.
Maybe
See you later.
Maybe I should have just kept carrying you if we knew we were going to be teleported.
That didn't feel too bad. Just made my head spin for a second.
All right. Well, off to the tavern anyway.
Right, off we go. Bye, Covert.
Bye, Audie.
Covert.
Bye, Raz.
Making fun of her.
I'm making fun of you, making fun of her.
All right. You get along famously then.
Is there anything wrong with that?
No.
What I thought.
I just get tired of being made fun of.
Why don't you go complain about it to your girlfriend then? Give my regards to Daisy.
Mm-hmm. All right, off to the Dusty Daisy.
To the Daisy.
Off to the Daisy.
So, I'm not the only one who thought he was at least 100, right?
No.
Absolutely not. I just kind of assume it by this point. Of everyone. Well, everybody's just not human for that matter.
And the damn bastard teases just like you.
Isn't it delightful?
Oh! One of you's bad enough.
Yeah, that means that somebody can actually beat their own game once in a while.
Like,
Maybe.
you
I
know,
mean,
to-
if he tries.
I can beat you at your own game.
Yeah? When was the last time you did that?
I'm going to the tavern.
Uh-huh. That's what I thought. Be right there after
Shut
you.
up.
Damn.
No, you.
Okay. Yep, the distance to the Daisy isn't that far. Takes you literally less than like 2 minutes. Midday, tavern is unsurprisingly busy. Not quite as bustling as the late evening crowd is, but enough people that you have to kind of wait for a table to free up if you wanted to sit down to eat. But the bar is far less crowded because people are not day drinking, because who can afford to right now? When you arrive, it is easy to see the namesake of the Dusty Daisy behind the bar, the wildling with canine like features that stands around 7 feet tall, is currently sitting there, organizing a bunch of mugs and then putting them away.
Right, well, Roz will walk up to the counter. Excuse me. We were here to talk about the job posting. Apparently you needed help.
That I do. I've seen you all around here before, and of course, who am I to forget the agent of the lovely black butterfly, Miss?
Audie will give a deep curtsy / bow.
Have y'all had something to eat lately?
Oh, we just
Yes.
ate.
All right, I'll keep my food to myself for now then. Come on down to the side of the bar. We'll talk. And she sets down her stuff, gestures for another bartender to take over, and walks you to the far side of the bar where it's far less crowded. She will prop herself up on 2 elbows and kind of lean down. All right. I've heard of you folks. People from Greenwood. You got a good reputation about you. Successful missions. I'll keep this short and sweet. I have a friend of mine, another wildling, someone I grew up with. They were traveling from the West Coast, coming out this way to try to meet me where I've set up over here. They insisted on walking like a crazy person, but you'll find a lot of wildlings that insist on that, given that we kind of went on without niceties for a long time. I was getting magical correspondence every once in a while, and then I stopped getting it. But they'd sent their last message when they were still somewhere on the border of Saphinus. So long story short is, I don't know where they've ended up. I have a rough area that I suspect them to be in. They're very physically capable. They know how to fight and defend themselves, and aren't, you know. And I'm not saying that in a small degree. I mean, they're fairly strong as a fighter and a hunter, so it's not like they were mugged by bandits and they're dead in a ditch on the side of the road or something like that. Which is to say, I'm more afraid of the ways of this modern world that might have tempted them into something stupid. I basically need someone to go pick them up and politely escort them back here. I can give you the details as to the last city and how long ago it was, if that holds your interest.
All right. You give us the details you can. We're currently deciding what our next mission is going to be, and it may be yours. So the more we know, the better informed we can be when we make our decision.
Lucky me. All right. Well, like I said, they were traveling. They just crossed over to the border of Saphinus, and hit one of the major border cities. It was hang on, give me a sec. Stops, pulls out a notepad off of her belt, flips through it. Idalta, major trade commerce hub, biggest city on the edge of Hadalia and Saphinus. They were traveling eastward, following the merchants highway on this side of the continent, coming this way. They were supposed to check in a day after, so essentially, the idea would be to go to Idalta, ask around. Wildlings stand out. There's pretty few of us. Get information, figure out what direction they were last seen heading in, and more or less track them from there. If they end up having gone out into the wilderness for some reason, it would be ideal if you have a pretty competent tracker amongst y'all to be able to find them better. So I suppose that would be a crux of the request if you were uncertain.
All right. Thank you very much, and we're going to go talk among ourselves to figure out what we want to do.
All right. Also, for what it's worth, the reward for actually doing this is that I'll provide some premium provisions and supplies to 50 people of your choice in your camp. I can afford to do that for a bit, just so if you were all in need of something that wasn't the food that they've been producing.
It would be really good for our families, I'll tell you that much.
There's practically all agreement at this point.
Right. Well, let's go deliberate then. To pull up a table or something.
Yeah, a table at the Daisy?
So that we can talk.
Okay, yeah. Takes you a couple of minutes. Table clears up. You secure it for yourselves.
Right. We technically have a few options. What are we thinking?
While we chat, Audie is probably going to have a cider with her. So, quarter something.
Yeah, no problem.
Biases aside, they both sound pretty competent, but one of them might eventually get here, but the other one can't really get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we went after Daisy's friend, we would also have to find a tracker in the camp or else hire one in Idelta.
I might be able to track, but I wouldn't say I'm the best at it.
If my sister was here, she'd be able to track down the problem, but she's still north as far as I know.
I'd feel better personally if we went that route, if we just found someone to help us. Like Viren.
He's sort of a bastard right now, but yeah, like Viren. He just went out on a mission. Went out the back for a couple of days.
Fair enough.
All that being said, we can always suggest to him when he's back.
Well, then there's the other option. And Covert was really playing it down quite a bit. But again, if it were me with my family member kidnapped, I'd be so damn stressed.
Lilith will kick Ross's boot.
Right, that's supposed to be a secret.
Sorry, I missed the secret. I was doing a quick audio check. Oh no.
Roz just openly spilled the fact that Covert's family member
Oh,
nebulously is kidnapped.
you're really bad at this, Russell.
What? Shut up! Well,
Well, the Daisy's request could take us a while, depending on how far we have to travel and how long it takes to track them down and whatever they've gotten themselves into. The rescue mission doesn't sound like it would take that long, assuming things went well.
mhm.
If we really want to push our luck, we could try to do both.
By the time we got back from one, the other would probably have someone after it already.
Okay.
It might, and I mean, that'd be fine.
Hmm.
But if it doesn't, we could try then.
We could also go ask around Greenwood. There's a couple of able people that aren't signed up for mercenary work yet. We still might be able to track someone.
Well, what
'Cause
do
that,
you what do you want to do?
I mean, 50 people's worth of provisions and food goes a long way.
Hmm.
That's a lot. Right? But, I mean, my skill lies with people. I don't know how good it would be against some chaos cultists, but it lies with people. Could
I'm
maybe
guessing.
insult them to death.
I'm guessing there's an entirely random chance that you'd be very good or very bad. It's chaos.
Oh, I really don't chaos before. It could be quite interesting, I suppose.
Lilith, what about you?
I agree that the provisions would really make a lot of people in the camp happy. But Covert's been good to us as well, and I mean, there's somebody that's been kidnapped by chaos cultists. They really should be dealt with sooner rather than later.
All right.
And Daisy said she's not really that concerned about her friend's safety because they're capable.
Hmm. Right. Well, I personally was leaning toward helping Daisy find her friend, but then I heard Covert's little favor, and suddenly I'm leaning the other direction. I'd like to help out my commanding officer, who's been very good to me so far. So I'm voting that we take Covert up on that favor.
I think we might have to. But, and as I said, we can always check in, ask Covert when Baron's mission's supposed to be back, or ask around town. They might have somebody maybe able to stand in our place.
Who knows? We might be back within the same day. That's what happened last time we went to deal with nebulously unknown powerful forces.
As we ran away from a portal to the Merc.
Hmm.
We are pretty good at what we do. I'm feeling like I need to push myself because I want to catch up to where Covert is by winter.
What, to hear and everything?
You know, I've never seen him fight, but he strikes me as someone who's pretty skilled.
You could challenge him. I mean, we've seen him fight kids. I suppose he holds back for that.
I certainly hope so. Then again, I think Rory could take him.
Mm, probably.
I mean, between him and Zane, I think they got a fighting chance.
So, leaning towards Covert's mission, it sounds.
That's my vote. What do you two vote?
We can fit our skill sets better, yeah.
Sounds like the three of us agree then.
All right.
The
We'll let
voice of
Covert know.
Corona said that they were leaning towards 3 as well.
I was gonna say, and as far as polling the other players,
All right. Then We'll let Covert know. Actually, you'll let Covert know. I'm going to go get my armor so I can go train with the Bastion.
Yeah, but what time is it right now? Is there a sit rep coming up, or are we past that?
Creeping up on noon. How convenient.
Quite convenient.
I might as well grab my own armor and my bow.
Oh,
Be
we
able to
can't.
make it to the sit rep.
Can we leave Audie alone with Covert?
Yeah, I've got my things from camp too. Unless you're planning this.
It's sort of like how you conveniently didn't show up the other night.
I just totally forgot. I had to go to sleep and had to rest. And by the time I showed up, it looked like you two were already on your way out. So I just decided not to bother you.
Mm-hmm.
You know not an Audie. You know not a damn thing.
And she's grinning. It's one of her faces where instead of the innocent look, it's the she did this on purpose look. Like she knew exactly what she was doing.
Roz knows that look. She knows it very well. She holds that stare for about 10 seconds of challenging Audie, and then Roz loses, gets up.
But were you mad?
I'm going to go get my armor now.
Yeah?
Have fun with Covert.
Oh, I will. I promise you I will.
Mm-hmm.
See you later, Addie.
And she gives a very pleasant wave as she finishes up her cider.
Mm-hmm. By the way, 2 bits.
Thank you. I was going to ask.
Okay, so you're all breaking to go get various goods and sundries.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. And where are you reconvening? Back for the noon meeting?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah. You all run off to get various goods and belongings, equipment mostly. I suspect.
To that point,
Mm-hmm.
is there anybody in Greenwood that we know of that isn't actively on missions?
In Greenwood?
In our camp.
Other than you all, the only other 2 people that were doing missions is Viren and Jace. You know Viren's out, and you know Jace is currently on bed rest because he, unlike all of you, does not heal overnight.
Right. I guess I should say, is there anybody in town that would be capable of doing this mission, though they haven't signed up as mercenaries?
In your town? No.
Yeah.
No. Out of all the people with various jobs, Viren was the best tracker amongst everybody. There's a possibility, given that you actually don't know a great deal about his abilities. Orin might be a tracker. He was a retired paladin. You don't know exactly like the whole like breadth of his abilities. So
Right.
shrug.
Let's see, who was the other person I was thinking of then? I think it was Orin. Yeah. Okay.
Well, there is also
Taryn. Taryn.
Oh yeah, Tyrion Drake. Yes, the guy with the suspect background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Possibly, given that he's also purposely hidden his history, but has lived a quiet life in Greenwood since.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you could certainly go ask.
Yeah. That's what Audie would do, and if nothing else, she would sprinkle the idea amongst the to like her mom and to Lotus. And she'd be like, yeah, I mean, if you know anybody who would be capable of doing this, go talk to the Dusty Daisy. Say we sent you.
They said they will keep their ears to the ground. And or ear holes.
So weird when you say it like that.
Dragonite don't have ears. Okay. Then I assume you all reconvene for the noon meeting?
That's the plan.
Okay. Okay. Noon rolls around. You hear the bell chimes in the center of the camp. Several groups are represented amongst all the named mercenary groups, and there's about 50 to 60 some odd unnamed mercenaries that are present that have all cropped up out of the refugee side of the camp. Everyone's gathered. Respective standards lofting in the humid, damp, drizzly rain breeze of the afternoon. Covert's on his stand. You hear him clear his voice, which is magically amplified. Good afternoon, everybody. As always, thank you for gathering. All right. News. As previously mentioned, the battlefront has been shifted further south into Belwyn territory. They've decided to fall back to strategic choke points and places that are easier to defend against the various attacks and that the Gnomish army has been using. So far, everything is holding strong. Further groups, commando units from Saphinus are gathering to make some more tactical strikes to try to slow down the production of the drones, so that way the people in Belwyn can get a moment to breathe. There will likely be a couple of missions up and coming for us to undertake as well, given that there are several locations that need to be hit, some of which require, individuals that are less part of the organized military and more freeform, so that way their decisions can be a bit more out of the box. No new developments on that front otherwise. We do have a merchants column coming through in a couple of days, which will be bringing a bunch of different goods. They are not affiliated with the Golden Rose, so if you have a need to buy something that you feel like you've been having a hard time finding here, that will be a good opportunity. I can't promise the supplies they have, but you can expect them here on the 3rd of the next month. So, save your silvers, be ready for that. Our current captive has still not responded to any of the interrogation thus far. That being said, if you have questions or curiosities, feel free to submit them to me. We will follow up with them in as timely a fashion as reasonable, if reasonable at all. There are still several unaffiliated missions available for people to take. A couple of favors from various groups, the Merchantry, the Daisy, myself, still open and available, so feel free to come and speak to me when you have a chance, and to the respective counterparts. That being said, that's all the news I have. Are there any questions? No? All right. Dismissed. Have a good and productive day, everybody. And, the bulk of people begin leaving. Some stop and have conversations with others.
Does Vanya have a habit of showing up at these sit reps?
She does not.
Okay. Audie's gonna flag down a runner if are they pretty prevalent?
Runners?
The
Yeah.
kids, yeah. Yeah, she's gonna call one over and send the information to Vanya about the incoming caravan. Hearing that she had some troubles getting what she was owed from the Golden Rose.
Sure. It's going to cost you a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, they take your note and they run to the north.
Right. Do we want to talk to Covert now or later?
We might as well let him know right away. That way he doesn't find somebody else to do it before we let him know.
Right. Oi, Covert.
Yeah, be right there. He breaks off talking to a group of people. You know, taking a minute or so, and then he'll walk over to all of you. Greenies, how can I help you?
We talked about it,
Mhm.
and we'll do it.
You sure?
We agreed.
All right. Fair by me. How soon can you be ready to go?
Tomorrow morning?
All right. I will have the transportation ready by then.
Right.
You said it's north of the southern continent, yeah?
Correct.
Winter gear, probably, then?
Given the time of year, the archipelago is a little tropical. You should be fine in your current attire.
Right, good.
Granted, now that you've brought it up, when you get within the bounds of the temple, especially within its walls, rules kind of don't apply anymore. So in that regard, be prepared for anything, including
Right.
sudden blizzarding winter.
Right. Chaos.
Yes.
Alright.
And if you've never really walked through a field of chaos, it is, like it sounds, unpredictable, and for your first time, and honestly every time following, always a trip.
Great.
Yeah. Sometimes not even a trip. Sometimes you fall up. Mm-hmm. Wish I was exaggerating. That happened.
Anyone you think I could train with? Anybody that has experience with this? I'd like to get some ideas from the magic before we go.
Here? Not off the top of my head.
I don't have to get creative then.
That's the spirit. And if all else fails, lean into it. Suppose it's worth mentioning. It sounds like it's your first time dealing with chaos cultists.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as the name implies, they are unpredictable, but that also means that they are usually way more willing than others to fall for really stupid gambits. They also all have a thing for games of chance, if you ever really feel like you need something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even if it's just
With
flipping a coin.
manipulating people with stupid ideas. I think I might do quite well down there.
I think you have the best group for that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We're full of stupid ideas.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure this will go fine.
We will take this extremely seriously, I promise.
No, honestly, you probably shouldn't take it too seriously. Like 60-40, I think is the right balance. If you take it too seriously, you will be unprepared for the things that'll happen.
Exactly. It's chaos. We are taking it the right amount of seriously.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, bring my cousin back alive. One favor owed. And for the record, not even necessarily from me. Could be put further up the ladder of the adjutants if necessary.
We'll think on the favor after we succeed.
No, of course. No one says you also have to immediately cash it in either. You could sit on it for a while.
No, just because I think Roz is too polite to bring it up. Any chance that cool weapon of hers might be done before we start the mission?
I'm almost finished with it. It'll be ready by tonight.
Perfect.
Just go up to the forges later in the evening. I'll be finishing it up then.
Will do.
All right, let's go get our midday meal.
Let's do.
I'll see y'all later. Enjoy.
See you tonight.
Bye.
To the Bastion.
To the Bastion. Mm-hmm. Yep. Smash cut and everything.
We're at the Bastion.
Whoa, you're there already. And I guess this is where we call break.
Perfect place.
Yeah.
To the break screen.
To the break screen. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Let's do this.
It did it. Welcome back. I think we're all good. Yeah, we look all good. So yeah, you all just officially accepted the mission from Covert. You agreed to partake of the mission tomorrow morning. I don't even know what that was. Which means you have the remainder of the day as of noon to do stuff. Last I checked, you were heading back to the Bastion to enjoy a midday meal. Even though for some of you, you only ate like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, not going to be much of a meal.
I mean, you're going to be given a meal. It'd be rude of you not to eat it.
Eat what she can.
Here's a sandwich the size of a small child. Consume it, please.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so all geared up, you head back to the Bastion camp. You see people gathered in the large tent in the back around an arranged table where they are currently in the process of partaking of several plates and platters that have been put through the middle, and everyone's kind of currently arranging their own plates. There's a smell of lovely fresh bread wafting in the air as you enter the camp.
Ooh. It would be nice to be hungry.
You're given a big hearty wave to join everybody in the central tent.
Absolutely. Rod's going to get in there and find her seat, sit down.
Mm-hmm. You have a seat next to Lucilla. And there are 2 empty seats set next to you.
We'll take one.
Mm-hmm. Come on in. Grab a plate. Help yourself.
Absolutely. I'm not expected to eat a lot, right? We just ate.
It wouldn't be advised, because if you did and then you went to go train, you would waste all the food. So
Yes, I would.
eat responsibly.
Yes, ma'am, happily so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't waste food here. Anyway, dig in. We made the sausages ourselves, smoked them. Pomaris made the bread. He likes baking. Yeah, peppers and onions are all local. Some fresh herbs and stuff mixed in. Make what you want, take what you want, enjoy what you want.
Roz will eat what she can, which is the smallest slice of bread, some sausages, and some of the peppers, but it's not much. It's not a meal.
It's reasonable.
Well, it has a little bit of everything.
That's good. It's hearty. Yeah, like I said, the atmosphere in the Bastion camp hasn't really changed a whole lot after coming back. People are still talking. People are still kind of loud. There's a little bit of, raucousness to the atmosphere. Plenty of jokes and jibes and, jabbing people in the ribs. When the meal is done, people break down the tables, take dishes, clear things, settle things, store things. It's all very routine. And without missing a beat, once all the mundanity is done, you see everybody that can walk, they head to the armory tent. And they begin gearing up.
You ready to watch me get my ass kicked in training again?
Yeah, I think I can always watch that.
Perfect. That's what's going to happen.
Well, sounds like I might be shooting arrows at people today.
Yeah, they're not going to be taking you to the ground, probably.
We could do that if that's what you want.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, some training arrows, don't you?
What?
No training arrows, though, right? You're not going to actually shoot them.
I don't have training arrows. I'm hoping that they do.
Oh, let's love that.
Pamaris cruises by with a small barrel, and it's filled with, nicely feathered arrows, and he sets them down. Lilith, these are for you. Just sprinkle them in occasionally.
We'll pull one out to look at it.
Yeah, they're whole ass arrows.
I just shoot them at random people while they're trying to train to see if they can react.
Yeah.
Sure, all right.
Gotta be ready for anything. It allows us to keep our senses sharpened. That way we can adequately defend ourselves and others on what is usually a very chaotic battlefield.
All right, sounds good. She'll take a bundle of the arrows, shove them into her quiver.
And what about you, Melody? Are you here just to cheer on your friends, or are you gonna do you want to do a little dance in the dirt?
I wouldn't want to injure anybody with my magic, but if there's a spot off to the side, I could always be practicing that over there.
Hmm. Ultimately, it's up to you. I mean, we're not gonna force you to participate if you don't want to.
I could always use some physical training, but I think I'm a little below your skill level.
Do you think you're always going to fight people that are at your skill level, Melody?
No, I suppose not. I just didn't want to break anything before we leave tomorrow, but I'll try it. I'm gonna try. And if we said not to keep people on their toes, if I'm allowed to make some action into it, then I will.
That's the spirit. If you want, we can give you some training armor if you're worried about your own. Yeah, they do fight with blunted weapons. It's not like they're fighting with real weapons. We're not the tyrants. We're not crazy.
I'll be back like Greenwood then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know what that's like, but training weapons, solid wood. Some of them are weighted because, well, that's what they want. Yeah, also
Sure.
if you want some training weights for your armor, we can facilitate that too. Yeah, if you follow me, I'll help you get your armor on. Roz, are you okay?
Yeah, I'll be all right. I'll just pick a stick and find someone to hit.
Sure. Well, all the sticks are in the armory, so go over there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, Audie, I'm just gonna let you borrow my training armor, so just come to my tent.
All right, certainly. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she'll follow.
Yeah. So, yeah. Lucilla will take you to her tent, Melody, and she'll help you don her set of leather training armor. She will also offer you a training sword and a short sword and shield if you so desire.
Sure, she's never fought with shield before. Might as well try.
Okay. And then Roz, you head over to the armory tent. I take it,
Mm-hmm.
where all the other members of the active bastion are currently in a process of putting on their very heavy plate mail, including Lucius and the remnants that he has, at least. When you come into the tent, he'll just look over at you as he's partway strapping on parts of his pauldron. What do you need? What do you want?
I usually fight with an axe. I don't know if you got a wooden version of that.
We do. You're not the only one that fights with an axe here.
Perfect.
How heavy do you want it?
Usually big, two-handed.
All right, we'll start you off for something light. Pomaris, get Roz a beginner's axe.
Beginner.
and you hear the elf in the back. Yeah, no problem. Beginner's axe, right? And
What's that supposed to mean?
he comes out of the back end of the tent. He's 3/4 of the way in his plate mail. And he's got a double bladed great axe. It's made of wood. It's pretty well carved. But the haft is clearly not wood. And he just sort of he holds it out to you with one hand.
Roz, suspecting that this might be some kind of a trick, is going to use two hands to take it.
Make an athletics check.
Oh, God. 21.
Okay. Yeah, he holds it out to you, and you go to take it, and when it's in both of your palms, it almost drops you to the floor.
Oh, fuck. What do you mean a beginner's axe?
Well, that's the minimum weight our trainees start with.
What?
Yeah. 75-pound weapon.
75?
Roz, if you prefer, you can just try to fight with my halberd.
That sounds worse.
Pomaris leans in. It is. He's joking.
Okay, I'm good with this, I think.
No. We're messing with you. And he turns around and someone hands him another wooden great axe. It does look similarly made, including the haft, which looks like it's made of the same material. But he will trade axes with you.
Still not trusting two hands.
Yeah. It is heavy, but since you're prepared for it, it doesn't like take you off balance. It's slightly heavier than any two-handed axes you're used to.
You're a
You
bunch
think
of bastards.
you think for training purposes only, not a reasonable battlefield weapon yet.
All right, well, who's beating me up today?
We usually fight in teams.
All right.
Keeps things varied, and where we have an opportunity to sort of react to different scenarios all the time.
Great, then whose team am I letting down today?
Well, for the warm-up, we tend to start me versus everybody else.
Oh, that's intimidating. All right, then.
All right. Everyone else, finish getting ready. We'll meet outside at the ring. And a couple more minutes go by. Eventually, members of the Bastion all come out wearing their plate mail. Lucius still in his, despite the damage. He is noticeably absent. Rather noticeably absent is his tower shield. However, he does come out with his halberd and his gladius strapped to his hip. And he stands to one side, stepping into the ring, kind of waiting for all the others to gather, and of which that side you're on. And, it's kind of like it's like waiting for, kids at school before the coach announces what the game is. You're just sort of sitting, talking, just waiting as time passes. But then it becomes pretty clear with two very heavy thuds as Lucius drops the pommel of his halberd into the dirt twice, and in a tinny, resonant voice, "All right, bring it on." The other Bastion members get into line, ready shields and weapons. The ones that fight with two-handed weapons stand behind the ones holding shields. They'll kind of all sort of make quick eye contact with you, just sort of briefly communicating through body language and eye contact, and waiting for you to see whenever you ready up.
Roz will fall into line with the rest of them, though this is not how she's ever fought before, so she's an awkward addition to the battle line.
Mhm.
But she's ready.
I'm sure she's way better than Audie.
Yeah, Audie, given that you're participating, you're given a choice. You have a shield, but it is not one of the Bastion's tower shields. So they let you pick where you want to stand. Do you want to stand on the front line or in the second line?
Oh, she's absolutely on the second and probably to a side.
That's fair. Okay. Lucius readies his halberd and kind of lowers the weapon, ready to respond. And then once everyone looks like they're kind of more or less ready, you hear the first synchronized steps of heavy boots move forward, and then one and another, and before long they're at a full runs pace towards Lucius. Just to start things off, we're going to do a collective group athletics check.
All right. This is the
I'm
time
so
to
sorry.
use. This is the time to use my thing. Then the
Not a bad time.
25.
That's really good.
17.
That's also really good.
I'm so impressed with myself.
Honestly, sort of hysterical. I roll dice for all of the Bastion members that are fighting on the side, and you can clearly tell the cursed ones because they're tired after putting on the armor and having to walk out here in it. Because the gradient of numbers on the D20s went from a 1 to a 20 on both sides of the spectrum. I think Lucius could beat this. The line begins moving forward at a steady march, eventually into a run. The tower shields are carried in such a fashion that there's basically no line left between the shield and the ground. They are skirting just above the edge, not quite hitting, but also being carried in such a position that there is no gap for anything possibly to slip through. Clearly, the Bastion members have done this a couple of times in which they immediately begin sort of they keep their shield, the edges of their shields touching, but then they kind of range out into a half circle until they've surrounded Lucius, and you watch as they, with the front lines of shields, basically dive on him with them and kind of dogpile him all at once. Several of the members on the back line then will wedge long weapons and things of the sort into the ground to create a kind of a focal point and lean onto the group of the members, trying to create an anchor to keep them there. And it's just a massive metal and grunting and swearing and just exertion. And in a sense, it's kind of goofy and dumb. In that you can tell, like, people are taking it seriously, but it's not serious.
Mm-hmm.
And it's held there for a moment. And then, against everybody's wills, everyone is thrown 10 feet back. You are sent airborne and then land. Make acrobatics checks.
Natural 20 for 20.
Sufficient. Audie.
Oh, that's a 6.
Oh, 6. Okay. Well, Audie, you and about half of the members of the Bastion end up getting thrown onto your back. Just absolutely just stricken into the dirt, throwing up a cloud of dust. The other half, with Roz, land on their feet, kind of skidding through the dirt. As Lucius stands there, again, halberd planted in the dirt like nothing had ever happened to him. He's got one of his metallic gold eyes glimpsing through the break in his helmet. But the edges, you can see right around his eyes that he's enjoying himself. Is that all you've got? Come on, I expected better. I didn't even have to try. You see the Bastion members recover. They look between themselves. People give a couple of nods. Essentially, if you agree to it again, it looks like several of them are going to try a second time.
Absolutely. Never give up.
Well, you know the story.
Another 20. This one die is rolling hot for 26.
Very nice.
So it takes Audie a bit to get her feet under her. It's a 6 again.
Okay. And before a little less organized, but recovering pretty quickly, that by the time you're back at that meeting point of clashing, the formation has regained its footing and shape just enough for it to net around Lucius again. This time, people have taken slightly different tacks where they plant the shields and then lean the tops of them down on top of him. And several of the other members run up the backs of other members of the Bastion to then jump on top. Like, they just full-on leap on top of him. This officially now a dog pile. And there's a lot of scraping of metal on metal and a lot of struggling and fighting. And it seems as if you've all succeeded to have pinned Lucius to the ground. But in slightly less grand of a fashion, Lucius manages to just stand up and shove everybody off of him anyway. He's succeeded, but barely. All right, that was better. A couple of people who were kind of pushed back were standing, and then a couple of them fall back onto their butts. And it becomes pretty clear that the ones that are cursed seem to have already reached their limit. They've landed hard on the ground, weapons and shields at their sides, and they are panting, red-faced. Lucilla immediately runs over, water skins in hand. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's get them out of their armor.
Yeah, right.
You begin, working through the process of helping them doff the plate mail, which is a little bit intricate. A lot of interlocking plates. At some point during it, though, Lucius is just going to sort of, his helmet's off, sweat-stricken. He's going to catch a glance towards you, Roz. So, Roz, in a scenario where you're faced like that with something similar, What do you think is the best scenario for you to try to overwhelm a single strong opponent? Especially when it seems like they can resist your attempts, like what just happened.
To be honest with you, in battle, I've only ever used one strategy. Hit them really hard and hope they die first.
Then how's that been working out for you so far?
I haven't died.
And what about your compatriots? How are they after the fight?
Various states. Depends on the battle, whether or not we got ambushed, had time to plan and prepare. Let me put it this way. I'm usually not in the position that I'd like to be, which is between them and the thing trying to kill us.
Mhm. We can help with that. At the very least, we can make sure if something is near you, it'll have a hard time getting to others.
Right. I'd like that.
But in time, right now, I think it's more important that everyone just kind of gets a feel for one another. And
Right.
all of you, rest. You won't do us any good if you keel over from heat exhaustion. That's a bunch of mumbling, especially from the half giant. But eventually they haul themselves up and go sit on crates on the edge of the training field. It is on the other side, out of the remaining people that are still geared up, Lucius, Julia, Pomaris, Roz, and Melody, with Lilith on the sidelines.
Well, it's just trying to make herself hidden in between the tents.
Make a stealth check.
I'll re-roll that with inspiration. Pretty decent. 21 total.
That is pretty decent. All right. This is normally where we'd split in teams, but given that we don't necessarily have the appropriate numbers, I think we actually do in fact just continue what we were doing, but now on a more serious front. Me versus you. And he gestures to the remaining people on that side of the field. Are there any complaints?
Nah. How hard could it be?
Remember, this is more about the experience, less about winning. So try to take away from this what you can.
Put up or shut up, old man.
Oh. All right, I'm going to make you regret that.
You think, but I regret nothing.
All right, warm-up's over. And he tamps his halberd 2 times, and he begins glowing with a golden energy. You watch as the dirt and the dust begin billowing away from him. And you see Primaris just kind of sigh. He's gonna make this hurt. I hope you know that.
I am about to eat my words in probably a lot of dirt.
Yeah,
Audie starts. Sorry.
go on.
I was gonna say Audie starts mumbling off to the side a little bit. Kind of, she's tapping one foot. She's kind of, loosening her shoulders, going, "Oh, Roz, what did you do?" Kind of look on her face. The ones nearest to her hear it first, and she just starts chanting it over and over. We're all in line. We strike to blow, down to sword and down to foe. Shout aloud, stand firm and tall. Swing again and watch them fall. We're all in line. You strike to blow, draw to sword and down to foe. Shout aloud to stand firm and tall. Swing again, we watch them fall. And she'll just keep kind of doing her chant. It's what she knows. She wasn't doing good with the sword.
And the training commences. We're just going to roll d20s. Just a basic game of rollies, and we're gonna see results. Highlight some things.
Ooh, the dice have told me everything. I rolled a 3.
Okay.
I rolled a 2.
I was
hit a
doing
D12
so well
first.
Out of the representative NPCs present in the Bastion, Julia rolled a 17, Pamaris rolled a 17, 16, 17. There we go. And Lucius rolled a 19.
Yeah.
He is on fire today. He has not rolled lower than a 19. Which is to say, the training is, it's not brutal in the sense that if you went across the street, the training would be brutal. But you're put through the ringer. Lucius pulls his punches enough to make sure that he's not crippling anybody, but there are hits with the back end of his halberd that send people back 30, 40 feet, skidding through the dirt. You're only caught by the occasional, loose crate tumbling over the edges or sides. Eventually, you especially for you, Roz, you begin finding a cadence with the other members that you're fighting with, Julia and Pamaris. In that you realize, inadvertently after a while, you're kind of getting an idea as to what they're going to do before they do it. And you think this is tied to the oath bond that you share with them. You think the longer you're a part of this and the more time you spend nurturing the bond, the better and easier understanding between its members you'll have with them. But after a while, you just rouse that sort of instinct where you act before you think, is kind of responding to them acting in the same way. One thing is confirmed for you here, which everyone kind of knew, but to see it finally, which is Lucius is incredibly strong. He's able to swing his halberd, which you can tell weighs quite a bit more than what you'd expect, to cause just literal waves of air to push people back. The blow is thrown with so much force. He is at one point able to catch Julia wearing full plate mail and wielding a tower shield with one hand and throw her back. Lilith, amongst the exchange, who are you firing arrows at?
She's got an equal opportunity firing at everyone. Just watching for a right moment where it looks like somebody's a little bit off guard and just firing at them, seeing if they can catch it in time to block.
Sure. Let's assume you shoot an arrow, one at each person. Roll a d20 for all participants.
Oh boy. How many is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can name them, or I will create the order, whichever you feel.
You can create the order.
Sure.
First one's a 9.
Okay.
Then an 8.
Okay.
I can't make this up. Then a 7.
Okay.
Okay, we're up to 12 for that one.
Okay.
And a 19 for the last one.
Oh. Funnily enough, nice.
I vote the last one goes to Lucius.
That was going to be the case anyway, and my statement holds true, which is not a single arrow actually hits. Like, for a lot of people, they will crack off a shield, shatter on armor. In the case of Lucius, he bats it away with his halberd. He was able to respond to it in time. But even Melody, who is not trained with shields, is able to block it herself. And Roz, in a similar position, you're able to turn to use the better part of your armored body to block it.
If I may, I think
Sure.
this is where Roz casts shield for the first time
Oh.
to absorb an incoming arrow.
Go for it. Nice flavor.
So, yeah, that arrow comes in, and Roz, being one of the only people here without a shield, turns, lifts her left arm like she's got a shield to protect herself with her hand at least, and a big shield, much like the tower shields of the Immortal Bastion, appears from toe to head and stays there for a good 5 seconds.
Very nice. Which is to say, the distractions were well accepted. I don't know how I was trying to phrase that. It went well. You didn't maim anybody accidentally. And it seemed as if people were sharp and paying close enough attention that they were ready for things like this. Training goes on for about an hour in various intervals, water breaks and kind of strewn in where necessary, or when people were essentially just unable to continue after a point. With the sweltering heat of the day, people wearing plate mail and the various layers required of it, it gets pretty brutal pretty quick. But by the end of it, Lucius is the one left standing, the victor on the other side. He takes off his helmet, tucks under an arm. Again, just absolutely sweat-stricken. His hair is matted to his head. All right. Well, it looks like we have to take on mission. We're still plenty ready. Speaking of which, Roz, Lilith, Melody, you guys taken up anything recently?
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about it when we were all done training. Not sure how much I should tell because I'm really bad at secrets, but we're going to go face chaos cultists soon, and wanted to let you know in case there's anything that you wanted to do to help us. We don't know what we're in for.
Difficult proposition. Lucilla kind of walks up next to him. We've had a run-in or two with them before in the past. They are troublesome, to say the least, given that you can never really know what to expect. I know this sounds counterintuitive to dealing with them, but if you can find out what their goal is, sometimes helps. Like, a lot of them exist for the sake of causing chaos, but sometimes they have a purpose. We came across a group of them that was trying to, what was it they were trying to do, Lucius? They were trying to create a ritual that was supposed to break one of the links of the chain between Talnum and Abanus, trying to free their god. We didn't know if it was going to work because we stopped them, but sometimes they have things they're trying to do. Usually better to just disrupt that if they have a purpose. Otherwise, make peace with whatever god you pray to, and decide if you have to kill them all or not.
All right. I think we can do that.
Other than that, I mean, we have equipment we could lend if you need anything like that.
I'd be happy for anything that would increase our chances. Again, we don't really know what we're in for.
I'm assuming everyone's got weapons and armor at the very minimum, yeah?
That we do, yes.
You see him turn and look at Lucilla. They consider for a moment. Well, we don't really have a whole lot that can help with this. Anyone in your group fight with a shield? Clearly most of you here don't.
We are, for whatever reason, decisively an anti-shield kind of group.
Hard to fire arrows while holding a shield.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem. Um, hmm. You know what? Go take off all your stuff and maybe wipe away some of the sweat because you're gonna smell. I'll go see what we have if we have anything we can offer that might be of help with chaos cultists being scratching at her chin.
All right. One more thing before I go, though. I had a question about something you mentioned yesterday and just kind of realized I don't know what it means entirely.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned at some point I'm going to stop aging, and
Mm-hmm.
I heard that, but I don't know what it means entirely. What does it mean?
Okay. So it's not so black and white that there's one answer to this, and more of that it works in stages. Um, in the beginning, after the bond is strengthened a little bit, after it's had a chance to settle, you will physically cease to age.
All right.
So your body will stay in its prime, so probably about where you're at now, for the remainder of your life. That being said, you will die of old age. We only know that because we've seen it happen.
Okay.
Um, but there is an understanding, an assumption, if you will, perhaps a theory, that if the bond is strong enough, aka with us long enough, it could become strong enough to extend your life indefinitely, because that would mean you would have more or less uh it's very complicated to sort of explain. Essentially, the bond works kind of like in the way that like imagine a huge spring at the top of a mountain or a reservoir is feeding into a through a river into a smaller lake, and eventually evaporation, rain, snow, etc. will then fill in. You follow me, right? So there's a big source and a small source. Well, eventually, the small source will take enough of the big source and impurities, etc. etc. Eventually, you become pure enough with only a certain type of thing flowing through you that it could essentially fill the vessel with that type of energy. So if the theory holds true, other people that are with us long enough could become like Lucius and I. Um, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Along with other things, you should have noticed by now. You're able to make yourself stronger in bursts.
I have. It was very helpful when I was trying to wear your damn armor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like for Lucius, so that's permanent.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm. But same can be said for a couple of other members of the Bastion. So eventually, that's just where things land.
Okay. Well, I'll just keep coming by and the bond will grow as it grows, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and really, you don't necessarily always have to be with us to grow the bond. It's more like the bond responds to the ideals that we kind of follow, because I mean those are the ideals that I try to live up to. So yeah, because it would be in line with me, the connection flows easier, and therefore better connection, more energy, so on and so forth. I'm really bad at explaining these sorts of things. It's also kind of hard to explain when you realize you're kind of a giant living. I don't know a word for that either. Reservoir. I'm a big old reservoir.
All right.
Yeah. Did that answer your question? I feel like it might not have.
Pretty much. At some point, I'm probably going to stop physically aging, but probably still have a human lifespan,
Mm-hmm.
unless for some reason, theoretically at least, we don't know this for certain, I became so bonded and connected to you and your power source that I, much like you and your brother, theoretically live indefinitely.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you followed it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I just pretend to be.
Why?
People expect less of stupid people.
Can't argue with that.
Right, anyway, I'm gonna go get off my armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Lilith, why don't you go with Roz and help her take off her armor?
Yeah, sure.
It's heavy and hard to get out of.
Right, that's why.
Here's also a bucket of water and a rag, because sweat's
Thank you.
gross.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right, go that way.
And yeah, people part ways. Many members of the Bastion are in the armory tent doing similar things, disarming, cleaning up, tidying. There is just a smell that you really can't avoid, though. People are pretty rank after fighting an armor that heavy for a while. But yeah, eventually everyone cleans up. And everyone reconvenes back in the central tent where there's a bunch of cooled drinks and water and fruit juices available, along with a bunch of sliced fruit, watermelon and pineapple mostly. Lucius is there with the other members of the Bastion. They're sort of just like kind of talking shop about fighting, including the last fight in the murk with the creature. To which you also all offhandedly hear that apparently Covert's looking into the creature that they fought to try to figure out more about it. But Lucilla comes back in partway through everything. And she's holding a small little I forgot what like a hand accordion.
Mhm.
Not the big one you have to hold between both
Hurdy-gurdy?
hands. I guess.
This squeeze box, like literally the ones that fit between your fingers.
The one that fits between your hands, yeah. I'm going to go with concertina. Yeah, that seems right. Okay, so I went through our stuff, and we had some things, but I looked at the people you travel with and decided not everything would be useful to you, so I didn't bring it. But do you have anyone in your group that's musically inclined?
Immediately pointing at Audie.
Just looking at Audie.
She perks up.
Okay. She just goes over to you. I'm guessing you're the one I'm going to give this to for now. Here you go, Audie.
Oh, it's nice fun. Use for kitchen parties. I would like it, like I can try to. I don't know if I've ever actually used one, but I've seen them played.
Despite our love of music, we don't have any musicians amongst us. Some of us can sing, but not many of us can play instruments.
Yeah, she's gonna give it a try just to see how it goes.
Sure.
See how it feels in her hands.
Yeah. Just make a charisma check.
Charisma check, you say?
Yep.
It's an 18.
Okay. Yeah. You managed to play it pretty well. It takes you a little getting used to between like fingering the buttons, timing, things like that. Just sort of getting accustomed to a bit of a foreign instrument. But you eventually get there and you get a little jaunty something playing. But it isn't before long that you do realize that there is a magical quality to this, Audie.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to spend a little more time with it for you to be able to understand it. But Lucilla will politely explain. She goes, okay, so we found this on our travels. Had a note with it, and it basically said, "Find it a good home." We've been unable to do so far. However, We know a couple of things about it, which is one, in the right hands, if you use it, you can make someone uncontrollably dance for a time. And you see Lucilla shrug. It could be useful against chaos cultists. You know?
Well, then what's more chaotic than making them dance?
Yeah, they might not see it coming. And also, for a very specific brand of people, this can act as a spellcasting focus for their magic. I don't know if you're one of them, Miss Melody, but if you are, you're welcome to borrow this from us for a time.
Maybe Sergeant Skies like me focusing on my voice, but it could always doesn't hurt to have backup music. Doesn't hurt at all, I mean.
Yeah, out of all the various things we have sitting around, this seemed like the only one that was useful. I mean, we have a jug that can produce a bunch of things for you, but we use it mostly for cooking. But if you wanted a thing that could randomly produce a bunch of beer or mayonnaise, we could lend that to you too, I guess.
Mayonnaise.
I think it would be pretty chaotic if you just threw a handful of mayonnaise at them, but
You're not wrong, but I mean, we would be missing a bit of a staple part of our meals here for a while if that were the case.
How much mayonnaise do you eat?
I mean, we could probably just take a pocket full of eggs too.
That's it. It's wartime, Roz. You eat what you have.
I'm actually sure we could probably buy some rotten eggs from the Dusty Days. It would work quite well.
That is a thought. Gross. Anyway, bring it back whenever you're done. Maybe hopefully get a use out of it and make a cultist dance till he drops. Great.
Right. Well, I don't think we have a whole bunch else we got to do today, but I do have to go get a magical axe from Covert before the night's end. Tomorrow morning, we're heading out to our mission.
Fight a bunch of chaos cultists.
Hopefully not fighting them, but maybe.
Well, actually, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could try to see if you can't find an order cleric somewhere around the camp. I don't think there is one, but if there was one, that'd be the person you'd want to bring. Yeah, Talum's people, unsurprisingly, really hate chaos cultists.
Could try to White Cross.
That's where I would suspect one to be, if there was one.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. See if they'll send someone along.
It reminds me. Master Smith, your brother was looking for one earlier.
He was looking for a Master Smith? Well, I need one. I wasn't looking for one because I knew I wouldn't find one in the camp.
That's not necessarily entirely true. Apparently, there's quite a good one. One of your mates, one of your neighbors across the way. A chapter of fire might have one. But they like stories and, well, histories, real things. Not sure if you quite want to share your history for that, but it might be worth it.
I'll consider it. I really don't know if we'll have anything that'll be equivalent to the amount of work it would take that we'd be asking.
Sorry, dwarf, but I named Nassif. See what I'm looking for.
Repeat that for me?
I told it was a surly dwarf. The name of Nassif.
I will keep that in mind if I find myself going over to Chapter of Fire. I do have a couple of debts to settle amongst the camp, given that several people did help us save the lives of some of the members here. Primarily amongst which is in the seductress, so I'm sure that'll be an entertaining conversation to have.
I mean, if you need help with that, I'd be glad to. Or Roz, I'm sure she has a great time over there. And
Hey.
it's evident that the last half is clearly in jest, but the first half is an honest offer.
I appreciate the offer, but I settle my debts. I don't need someone else to help. Well, do you all need any help making preparations for your mission, or do you just want to spend the day relaxing?
Well, I, for one, I think that we've got everything that we can get, barring finding some help and all that, but I'd love to stay until dinner. I'm starting to get hungry again, and you're pleasant to be around. You're my friends.
Mm-hmm. We do strive for that. Mm-hmm. Well, feel free to hang around. I'm gonna mostly be mending clothes for the remainder of the evening until dinner time starts.
We have to talk with Sergeant Sky. I'm sure I have some ideas on how to might fight some agents of chaos. Might even know an order clerk.
Oh, White Cross is just down the road.
I'm gonna head over to the merchant, see if there's anything that catches my eye.
All right, you two. Good luck, and I'll be here.
Thank you again for the meal and the training.
Yeah. Anytime. One of these days I might actually lose.
I'll get you one of these days, you giant bastard.
Mm-hmm. That's what
Really
they've all
thought I
said
had
so far.
really thought I had a good shot on you, and then you just cut it down with your weapon like it was nothing.
Mm-hmm. You should see me when I actually have a shield.
Yeah, I'll get a shot in one day, I'm sure. But talk to you all later. I feel like I've said that a lot today.
Always going, never staying. Okay. We're gonna quickly split the party. Sounds like Audie is going to White Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith is going to go browse some wares. And Roz, you're just hanging out.
Yeah, Roz is going to hang out for dinner, then go get her axe in the evening. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, so you can either you can just hang out. You can help Lucilla, who's mending clothes. You can help Julia, who's going to wash clothes. Or you can help Pamaris maintain the armor.
She's terrible at mending clothes, but she also really likes spending time with Lucilla, so she'll help where she can.
She'll just have you hold things. Okay. Let's cut over to White Cross Company. Melody, you head down the lane. As always, there were 2 sentries there who will both give you nods of acknowledgement. Where are you heading today?
I was hoping to train a bit with Sergeant Sky, but also looking for an order clerk.
Let me randomly determine if there's an order cleric in this group of 400 people.
I mean, if nothing else, it's the largest statistical probability.
Yeah, it's the most likely, if not for the Bastion, and the Bastion doesn't have one.
Nope, not their shtick. You know, you see the sentry consider for a moment. All right. Well, I can tell you, Sergeant Sky is currently in the tent HQ, speaking to Bandit, just behind us here. And we'll point over his shoulder, and with the tent flaps drawn back, you can see that there are a couple of members of White Cross in the tent. A couple of which you've met, including Bandit, Sky, and Silver.
Does it look like they can be interrupted, or is it kind of like, oh, they're really busy? I should.
It's a handful of people of respectable ranks having a conversation. Up to you to decide if you want to interpose. Okay. But then you see the sentry consider. But if you're looking for someone who follows Talnum, yeah, we do have a cleric here, that follows the Platinum Dragon. Just, head over to the east, speak to the sentry on the other side of, the residential camp. They'll be able to point you in their direction.
All right, I guess I'll start with him then.
So you head to the side of the camp, which you've been this way. It's when it's how you were instructed to go find Sky the first time. There's a sentry kind of waiting over there. Stops. Looking for the Talnum cleric. He's currently taking vigil on the far side of our camp. There are a couple of others in prayer with him. You can go over there and wait. It shouldn't be too long now. And
yeah, Audie heads over
mm-hmm.
and respectful, takes a seat or stays to the side while she waits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, and there are a couple of other members of White Cross there. They're all currently what is the name for this position that I'm drawing a blank on? It's when you're sitting on your shins, and they have their hands in their lap. I don't know, but they're sitting, kneeling. And you can tell they're all in a quiet prayer. There is a figure that is on a slightly elevated kind of like wooden bench where they're kneeling themselves. And you can see that they are dressed like most other members of White Cross Company, despite the weather. And around their neck, they have a platinum chain with a platinum dragon's head on it. Very distinct in the nature of Talnum's visage, a thing some people have physically witnessed once upon a time. But after a quiet moment and it's passed, you'll see all the other White Cross Company members. They'll get up. Same for the cleric on the bench, and they'll just quietly exchange, departing words, a shared hug here or there. And then you'll see the other one, the cleric, sort of turn, and the first thing you notice is that they have two different colored eyes. One hazel color. The other one is almost black. It's got a slight tinge of like a blue purple to it, but it is otherwise almost perfectly black. Young miss, can I help you?
Yes, certainly. I was first by Maudie of Greenwood.
Corporal Shadow Eye, nice to meet you.
I see. Well, we're going to be taking a mission, and we'll be fighting some chaos cultists. I suggested we see if we could find the cleric Talon. If they want to accompany us, if they could be spared.
Well, And it is certainly a worthy undertaking. And that we all need to strive in order to maintain a certain level of balance in the world while chaos is constantly trying to fight to break free. I am uncertain as to my current mission orders. If you'll allow me to check with my superiors, I will see if I'm available to depart on a mission.
Oh, certainly. We'd be leaving in the morning.
It won't take me but a minute. If you would be so kind as to walk with me, I can go check.
Yeah. And she'll fall into step beside.
So, what has exactly brought you to the door of a group of chaos cultists? It isn't often that people stumble into them.
Sort of doing a favor for someone in camp. They've family member got kidnapped.
Hmm. Very unfortunate that. As good people are acting to free that person. You have any experience with chaos?
And just stories my mama told me when I was a child.
Hmm. Oh, and perhaps in less of a grand sense, have you, and I understand you might take a moment to consider this, experienced chaos in your life, in the sense that you would have expected something to proceed in a certain way, predictably, because perhaps routine, but then something has suddenly changed, and the outcome is different, not always bad.
And she'll kind of ponder a bit for a few steps. And well, I mean, I can insult people with my voice and I merge something. And then apparently there's magic in that. I don't know if magic is just chaos or if it's ordered, but it's been a bit unexpected for me.
Hmm.
I'm learning, though, for it to not be as unexpected, to deliver it with purpose. And I suppose the attack on my town, it wasn't expected, but again, it's a matter of perspective. We didn't know it was coming, and therefore it was discouragement, but to those attacking, it was quite well planned, I'm sure.
And thus begins the conundrum many people who attempt to embrace chaos or understand it face. Where does our choice and where does chaos end? And when does it meet? The real answer is that it's best to not concern yourself with the variances between it. Where does your choice cease to matter? When does chaos choose to reign? When do the laws of order control all the decisions we make? Ultimately, that is amongst the struggle between chaos and order that people will constantly fight over. That being said, it is worth mentioning most magic in this world, with a couple of exceptions, is usually brought about by a force of will. Where the magic comes from will vary, but the way that it acts is almost always a result of the person who it comes from. So your statement in which you wish to better yourself is the correct direction for you to walk in, if currently you feel like you have no control. Do you have a tutor for such a thing?
For magic.
Yes.
Oh, sort of. Sergeant Sky's been helping me a bit.
Hmm. Sky is a
But,
fine choice.
Understandably, the whole camp's a bit busy.
Well, there is no better experience than practical experience. But when you have opportunities, make sure you visit Sky well. He is a sensitive teacher who understands what it means to not have control of his power. I respect him greatly in that regard. Yes, here we are. Allow me a moment. And you're back at the HQ tent. And Shadow Eye walks in. You can tell it's a brief exchange that's a bit more formal, where he salutes. And there's a couple of acknowledgments amongst the tent. You will see Captain Silver kind of look over the shoulder of Bandit to see you out there. And then Sky will turn around and just sort of give you a wave over the shoulder. About a minute or two later, and some shuffling of papers and a reference of a clipboard, and Sky will step out with Shadow Eye. Melody, I hope you're doing well.
Doing quite well. Yourself?
All's well. Busy, but to be expected. So, we heard you've come to attempt to recruit Shadow Eye for a mission against cultists.
Yes.
Are you and your compatriots, I understand chaos cultists are unusual challenge to tackle, especially if you haven't faced them. Are you in need of Shadow Eye's services due to a certain lack of confidence into heading into this sort of territory?
Well, I think it was more advice to us because there's not so much confidence, but anything that we do, well, I mean, you've seen us fight. We're still learning. That gives a lot of room for chaos. We need someone a bit more methodical to kind of counterbalance it a bit.
Well, we have the availability to grant Shadow Eye the opportunity to go if you really need him. But he is the only representative cleric of Talnum we have, and he is a pretty important link for us. We have to emphasize that he has to make it back to us.
Well then, I can't speak for my compatriots. They might say otherwise when I reconvene with them tonight, but what if I spend the evening? I'm a quick study. I might learn a thing or two. Suggestions, anything like that.
Well, I can't stop him from spending his evening in any particular way. But I also can't guarantee that you'll take anything from it.
Or any suggested items. I know clerical things probably really only work for the cleric, so.
I'll leave that up to the understanding of the expert. As a matter of fact, the remaining choices are all Shadow Eyes anyway. So, I'm gonna get back to my meeting. Good seeing you, Melody. Good luck if I don't see you sooner.
I'm sure I'll be back for training my sister.
I'll be waiting. And he turns on his heel and heads back into the tent. You see Shadow Eye there, considering, face contemplative. Do you remember the conversation we had on the way here, Melody?
Yeah, about balance and not thinking too hard.
Yes. Much in the same vein. Don't overthink this. Also, the more variables you introduce, the more people that are brought, the more items, equipment, journals, personal items, pairs of shoelaces, ball bearings, stale bread, moldy apples, shoes with holes in them. Do you get where I'm going? Hopefully not. That's kind of the point.
Anything that could possibly lead to chaotic things.
Everything lends itself to another variable in which chaos will then attempt to use. In that vein, there is nothing I can ultimately give you that will help. Order clerics of Talnum in regards to our conflict with the Chaos Cultists of Abanus exists only on the level of we can counterbalance one another. But we typically then will require an outside actor to do something. That being
Which
said,
lends to chaos.
it can, yes. And that being said, there is only one of me. If you are walking into a den of cultists, I will be of minimal use to mitigate occasional bouts of chaos. Take this information back to your friends. Let them know and understand the potential outcomes. I've been given clearance to go, and if you truly believe I'm necessary, I will accompany you all.
Send a runner by night 12 if that's the case.
I will await word.
Something like music, Dan. It's putting discordant things in order.
Not unlike that.
Right? I think I can do something with that then. I think I can do something a lot with that. I'll let the others know.
Just remember, don't overthink it.
Oh, trust me, we won't.
May order follow your steps.
And she'll give a polite curtsy and head out.
Okay. And away you go. Lilith.
Lilith,
You go into the merchant tree.
yeah,
Well, spend some money. Maybe. Who knows?
maybe. Depends how ridiculously priced some things are.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I've given the description once today already. You know, it's a bit of an open air flea market with a larger building to the backside with a bit more of a nicer interior. Roll me percentile die real quick. We're just gonna see of the clerks who you get.
It's a flat 60.
Okay. You were greeted by a half-elven man, brown hair, well-kempt, pulled back into a ponytail, dressed in slacks, white shirt, green, like an emerald green button-up vest, gold round-rimmed glasses. Good afternoon, ma'am. How can I help you?
Afternoon. I was wondering if you had any magical items in stock.
We have many. Do you have something specific in what you are looking for?
Anything that might help with archery or stealth?
Let us see. Do you have a price range in which you are shopping?
I'd prefer not to spend more than 500 silvers.
Allow me to check our inventory. And he steps into the large building. You see him go back behind the main central desk of immaculately carved and polished wood, pull out a big ledger and begin flipping through it. Eventually, we'll return with a small handwritten list. We have a couple of small options that might fit your needs. One, a item referred to as a tethervine quiver. A quiver enchanted with plant magic. It can conceal, it conceals a large living plant inside. It holds arrows or bolts as normal for most things. However, when you draw a piece of ammunition from the quiver, you can make it connect to the plant inside, and when you fire it, the tether will stay attached. You can then use it to retract the tether back to you and the quiver within a certain range, of course. It depends, also varying on the weight of whatever it is you struck, but likewise could be created as a means to perhaps bridge gaps with ropes or other such necessities.
Interesting.
We likewise have an enchanted bow, dwarven make. It is reinforced with abjuration magic. It will create a protective magic that stays between you and the creature you've struck with the bow most recently. While it is protecting you against your target, it provides cover for you against anything that it uses to attack you, be they ranged or spell varieties.
Very dwarven, though I'll pass on that for now. I've got a magical bow.
Hmm. Of our bow or archer related options, that is all I have.
How much would the quiver cost?
500 silver.
Okay. As an aside, how much would a common curative reagent be?
Great question. Pulling up the crafting guide. Almost there. Almost there. I mean, if you have the number in front of you, you could also just relay it to me. Common curative. Ow, I bit my tongue. It would be 25 silver.
I don't suppose I could cut a bit better of a deal if I bought 9 of them and the quiver.
Make a persuasion check?
And somehow they've doubled in price. Gonna use inspiration. Persuasion, that's a 13.
13. No, unfortunately, due to the war times, we can't afford to lower our prices. These reagents are in very high demand. And if we gave you a discount on the price, numerous other people would begin to expect the same thing.
Of course, of course. So 500 for the bow, 25 each for the reagent would be 725 silvers?
825 silvers.
Just doing math in her head.
Mm-hmm. I do math on a calculator.
25 times 9.
Oh, 9. Why did I hear 13 originally?
That was my persuasion.
Right, you're right. So it would be 725.
Sure. I'll I'll take them. She'll start unloading silver.
Very well. And you will go through with the transaction. You can, in fact, pull the tether vine quiver from the importer. Just make sure you go find Griffin's stuff. I could freaking type. Or I could just do it for you.
I've got it.
Okay. Is that all you'll be needing today?
Yes, thank you. Have a good evening.
Yes, you as well. Thank you for your patronage at the Gilden Rose Merchantry.
We'll go off with her reagents, and well, the rest of her evening is going to be potion crafting.
I suspected something. And the rest of our evening will be ending the session. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of already a little past time. And the inside of my lower mouth is getting a little agitated from talking so much with new braces, so I'm also ready to call it quits for the night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, hey, we're done. Next week, we're going to get to the mission. So that way we can finish it before Ben gets back. And hopefully So Zhao is here? Question mark? The weird intersection of player characters coming and going. If we somehow miss that, I would really, really hate that. We can just assume if, Zhao shows up, Chrono was totally all in on this anyway. Yeah, so hopefully Chaos Mission next week. I've been waiting for this for like the better part of 8 months because it was a one shot I was working on before this campaign started, and I have the map and stuff already made, so it's gonna be great. Gonna be goofy.
Gorge.
Wow, that was really good. Yeah. Hey, sometimes if you can't make good choices, make choices and hope good ones come out of them.
Make goofy choices.
Head empty. Sometimes it's better that way.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
All great life advice. And we'll leave you with that and see you next week.
Bye.
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 I don't know who this is, but bye.
They play, it's humans and felted friends playing D&D. They have puppets.
Oh boy.